Hello again and welcome to part 3 of my tutorials on how to control lasers with TouchDesigner. Part 1 of my tutorial series was about the general setup. Part 2 was more specifically about the laser chop itself, the node within TouchDesigner. And part 3 is dealing with the specific setup of having multiple lasers and how to connect with them and how to distribute data to them. Generally speaking, these tutorials are describing on how to control lasers using the AVB protocol and using TouchDesigner with it. In my case, I'm controlling Fanon accurate lasers from Laser Animation Zollinger. So to control multiple lasers, what we do need to add hardware-wise is a AVB switch. So if you look at my setup, I have a PC connected to a USB to AVB interface, which is then hooked up to the AVB switch with a Ethernet cable. That is basically your desktop setup, and from there on you can distribute your data with CAT cables to your multiple devices, which are Fanon accurate in my case. So if you've been following my part 1 tutorial, you should be familiar with this LA toolbox. And as soon as you connected your 3 lasers to the AVB switch, you should be able to see these 3 lasers in your device list. There we go, we're just connecting to all of them. I'm rearranging them so that it matches my physical setup. So now what I do is I connect with these lasers one by one, so I'm just making sure that this laser here is the one on the left side in my physical setup, and so forth. Okay, so in the next step, what I want to do is kind of using the DGC. I'm just doing that in a fast forward. Basically, I'm using DGC on all of the 3 lasers so that they are using the same space to which kind of the content is mapped. So if I send a centered circle to all of the 3 lasers, it actually matches the physical setup. So they are now pointing to the same kind of normalized area to this square. All right, so now inside TouchDesigner, let's make content for 3 different lasers, and we're just doing a very simple setup. So basically what we want to do is outputting 3 different circles in 3 different colors, and each circle should be outputted by 1 laser. So I'm just changing the color into a red, green and a blue laser. And what you need to do is using a merge chop and putting all our X, Y, RGB values into 1 chop. So what we are looking at is each laser getting 5 values: X, Y, RGB, X, Y, RGB, X, Y, RGB. So as you can remember, we're using a audio device out chop to kind of send out the data from TouchDesigner. And what we have to do next is to do some configurations in the AVB interface. So what we tell them is we are getting 1 input stream, which is basically the audio device out chop, but it should output 3 different streams for our 3 lasers, each having the output format of 5 channels. So our interface is taking 1 input stream from TouchDesigner and is distributing it into 3 different streams with each 5 channels inside. So this is our XY RGB 5 channels, XY RGB from our second circle, the green one, and the next are the 5 values from the blue circle. Our laser on the left should listen to stream 1, the laser in the middle should listen to stream 2, and our laser on the right should listen to stream 3. So when we have this, what we can do here is by shifting, for example, the center of the circle from laser 1 to the left, you see our red circle going to the left, the green one we leave it in the center, let's make it round, and the blue one going to the right, 0.5, yeah. Okay, so this is our 3 circles output by 3 different lasers, 1 circle each. So I just added some haze here in my studio so that you can actually see which laser draws which form. So yeah, this is basically the end of these tutorials. You see, once we have the laser chop up and running, if we can use the parameters correctly of the laser chop, if we understand what they actually affect in the shape, if we know how to combine the channels and distribute them correctly to the lasers in the interface settings, the DGC correction in LA Toolbox to kind of physically combine the laser image into our projection area. As soon as this is up and running, it's super easy and nice to play around with 3 lasers. And I think the combination of using the new laser chop and using AVB as the protocol makes it much more easier and controllable, in my opinion. So from here on, it's really just about what shapes you create and what kind of coloring content you are producing. So thank you very much for checking out my tutorials. The patch is on my GitHub. The link is in the description of the video. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you were able to understand everything.